Now let's have a look at list methods. Now list methods are functions that live inside the list class. They perform list operations, and they are essentially a pre-written built-in Python shortcut to doing stuff with lists. Now in this course I'm going to cover exactly 12 list methods, although there are dozens more. Now, these are simply the ones that I think are the sort of most practically useful out of the lot. They're as follows: list.append, list.extend, list.insert, list.remove, list.pop, list.clear, list.index, list.count, list.sort, list.reverse, and list.copy. Now, let's take a look at what these do, first in lecture and afterwards in code. Starting with list.append. Now, this appends a single item to the list. Remember, lists are mutable. This permanently changes the list. So we have an example. We have a list called things with one item first. We append another thing, and now, as you can see, the list now contains that other thing. Next, let's have a look at list.extend. Now, list.extend is the same as list.append with one exception. You're not adding an item, you are adding an iterable. You're adding something that can be iterated through. Typically, you're adding another list, but you can also add another string or a tuple, and you'll see what happens if you do that. First of all, the usual example, you have two lists. You have things and others. And if you things that extend with others, you're going to have a bigger list that both contains things and others. Now, if you were to put a different data type in there, like a string, for instance, if you wrote things.extend another thing, that would actually go through this string and add individual characters in it as items. Now, if you appended that, that would just append the string as an item. Whereas if you extended it, that appends every character in a string as an item of its own. So next, list.insert. Now what happens here is you specify your index, where in the list you want to insert something, and then you specify the item you want to insert. So imagine you have this list that just says second. If you insert something at position 0, it's going to go ahead of that. Whereas if you appended it, it's going to go typically at the end. Next, list.remove. Now, if you can get the item name correct, nothing to do with index, precisely the item, you can remove that item using list.remove. Next, list.pop. Now, this one's interesting because it does two things. First, it returns the last item in a list. So if I say A equals to list.pop, A is going to be equal to that last item. Second, it removes that item. So have a look at this example. Second item equals things.pop 1. So you can pop an index, but you don't have to. So that will be second item is second. And things are now missing the second item. If you did not have that one there, if you just had brackets, it would have been equal to that. So that one would have popped out. List.index. Now this one actually finds the index of the item that you're looking for. So let's say you have a list and you can enter list.index, name of the item, and it'll return the index of that item. Now these start and end, these simply you can choose to use them. They're going to specify where you look for a particular item. So let's say your list is millions long and you're just interested if something is present in the first 100 terms, well, then you can go 0, 100. So on the next page, I think I have the example of that. No, here is the example of, so if you have things, first, second, third, fourth, you can look for third in between the second and the last item, and you'll find it, and that's going to return 2. So if the item is not found, you are going to get a value error. So in this particular example, you're looking at fifth, you're looking for fifth, which does not exist in this list. You get a value error. But even if you're looking for something that does exist, if you're looking for fourth, but you specified index being the first 3 terms, you're going to get that same error. So we've covered sort of the main ones. Here's some other methods. List.clear simply makes that list a blank, clears everything from it. You can also say del A from start to finish, basically. That would do the same thing. Next, list.count. You put an item in there, it returns how many times that item occurs in the list. Next, list.sort. Now you can do this reverse equals true, which would sort it from the highest to the lowest, or by default lowest to the highest. And if this has got, like, if list.sort had numbers in it, randomly arranged, it would go from lowest arranged to highest. Finally, list.reverse, the first item becomes last item, and the whole list reverses. List.copy creates a copy of the list. All right, that's enough about the theory of lists. Let's take a look at them in code.